One woman claims she had a scary encounter with the Eastridge man who killed his mom and his friend. And she said it happened just weeks before the double homicide. Good evening. I'm Kim Chapman.
And I'm Allie Levine. Casey Lawhorn confessed to those two murders on Facebook before taking his own life this week. Catherine Marchand tells us why one woman is wondering if she could have been another victim. Catherine.
Kim and Allie, Lawhorn murdered his mom and his friend at his home on John Ross Road. The woman I spoke to says Lawhorn started following her in his car on that same road and didn't leave her alone until she got her husband involved.
It was like everybody that came up to me, I jumped because I was scared. And even like at night, I was scared to go outside by myself.
Still too shaken to be identified on camera, this woman tells me Casey Lawhorn had his sights set on her less than 3 weeks before police say he killed his own mother, his friend, and then himself. She says one morning in March, she was driving on John Ross Road when Lawhorn pulled up behind her and continued to follow her for miles.
And I turned down some side streets just to see, and he was still behind me. So I called my husband and I said, I think I'm being followed. Stay on the phone with me.
She told me she led Lawhorn to her husband's workplace and the two of them confronted him a few blocks away. She snapped this picture of his license plate and called police. But when they got there, he was already gone.
I saw him, and that face and that car will be imprinted in my mind for a long, long, long time.
But it wasn't until Sunday she learned his identity after she saw his picture all over the news.
I started screaming, and I'm like, that's him, that's him, that's who was following me, that's who was following me. It could have been me. I don't know what he had in the car.
Chattanooga police have records of her report and an incident back in October when Lawhorn tried to kill himself. Licensed counselor Jason Reich says previous suicide attempts don't usually indicate the potential for violence. But he says this woman's story may have been a sign of what was to come.
Because that's an aggression towards somebody else rather than, and so I would equate that to a violence towards somebody else. You know, it's a threat towards somebody else. And so that would be more of a sign than any of the suicidal ideation.
Reich says if your loved ones are struggling with depression, it's important to make sure you're engaged in their care so you're sensitive to any changes in their behavior before it's too late. This woman says even though officers say Casey took his own life, she's still worried about hers.
I'm scared. I'm scared to sleep. I look out the window if I hear any kind of noise.
Chattanooga police tell me following another car wouldn't have been enough to charge Lawhorn with a crime. But if he had followed the same person several times, there would be grounds for harassment or stalking charges. Kim.
Catherine, thank you. And under Tennessee law, charges can be pursued if someone has followed more than 2 times.
Continuing our coverage tonight.